Welcome, welcome, welcome to CJ's Chat Box. I am so excited today because I have a wonderful guest, and his name is Jerry Breeden.
So anyway, we moved up to Melbourne Beach, in an oceanfront house. There is on the ocean, and I designed the house, 7,000 square feet, 3 levels, right smack on the ocean. So the kids lived on the ocean. They absolutely lived on the ocean. They loved that. We were only 300 yards from the intercoastal again, right? So it was like a barrier island. Very, very nice. Very lonely out there, but beautiful.
No.
Then the business started to take off for Maggie and the jewelry. We were doing up to 30 trade shows a year.
Oh my!
All over the country. Not just Maggie and I, but we had employees. My brother helped us. We had brought in a couple other people, and we would take our jewelry that she had designed. We were now traveling all over the world buying jewelry, and we would take it to trade shows, and then start to sell our wares, and the business became almost overwhelming for us.
Well, it's like you guys, both of you have the Midas touch.
Yeah.
Everything you touch turns to gold.
Well, I wish I could say everything.
Well, other than the sailboat. I won't forget the sailboat, okay.
So this is, then we moved because the operation, we still had the house in Melbourne Beach, but our business got so big, we moved to Orlando, Florida, and we opened up Shane International, named after our son Shane.
Okay.
And Shane International became one of the largest distributors in those days of gold chains, diamonds, tennis bracelets, remember correctly?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And again, we continued with the trade shows, and it was just absolutely a wonderful business.
Don't forget to talk about the car.
Oh yeah, the car.
The car.
That was my first Rolls Royce. I ended up having 3 of them.
Because you had a liking or a passion?
What was it in that James Bond movie where they had, the Rolls Royce,
Yeah.
I never really got too much into hot rods. Motorcycles and Rolls Royce.
Luxurious Rolls.
Right. And they were, almost all of them were Corniche, the convertible.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so I ended up, over the years, having 3 of them. And one was used, we'll get to the little bit, one was used in commercials and movies in Honolulu, when we finally got to Honolulu.
Is that your next move now, is Honolulu?
Yeah, the next move is Honolulu. These are all the trade shows that we've done. We met a lot of dignitaries, and I'll bring this up.
Yeah.
When you go to these foreign countries and these shows, this was Ariel Sharon in those days.
Oh, yeah.
Here's Maggie. She became, when we moved to Hawaii, she became Mrs. Oahu.
Oh,
and we started doing TV shows.
Ah.
It's like a QVC.
Oh, okay.
Like a QVC.
Oh, with her jewelry.
With her jewelry.
Oh.
And we would go out and we would present the jewelry, and we would tape these shows.
Yeah.
And they were 2-hour shows, and we would tape and tape and tape and tape because we had a lot of merchandise. That took off, and we were really selling a lot of jewelry.
What blows my mind is the fact that you guys are so busy all the time. She makes the jewelry. When does she have time to create and to,
That's her big thing, is creation,
Oh.
designing. She puts the pieces together. Now, when our first store, we actually had jewelers in the back room. And then it got so big, I'm going to go on to tell you that we opened up in 1993 or 94, we opened up our 15th jewelry store. 15 jewelry stores.
I'm surprised that you're not wearing gold chains and your
I
rings
got a
covered.
watch, that's about it. Right. We ended up, through bankruptcy court, buying 2 other companies out. So we ended up, and we covered all the major islands in Oahu, every single island. And we had 2 stores minimal in each. And then we started to supply other manufacturers. We opened up a store also in Guam. We went to Guam. We opened up a jewelry store in Guam. That was very, very interesting. So we were keeping busy. We had 250 employees alone in all these jewelry stores and the manufacturing just in Hawaii, and it was getting really, really big.
Now we moved from the Rolls Royce to yachts. Is that what we're saying
then
now?
I got another brilliant idea.
Of course.
We're still married. We're still married.
Thank God.
They're still married. Maggie hasn't divorced me, and hopefully it's not going to happen in the next couple of years. I got a brilliant idea because we were doing commercials for the car. I ran into a lot of people that were in the entertainment business, TV shows, et cetera.
Yeah.
And at that time, they had Magnum PI and Hawaii Five-0 were being
Yes,
filmed, et
big.
cetera, right?
Yeah.
And I got a word one time that said they always tried to have a yacht, a big yacht, to shoot from. They were going to do a whole episodes on this major
Yeah.
yacht. But there was no major yachts in all of Hawaii. So
Yeah.
I took about 6 months and I researched, and I found this 100-foot yacht right here.
Yeah.
And that's the main salon that was sitting in Fort Lauderdale. Now, I haven't told you this, but the previous owner happened to be Julie Andrews.
Really?
This was the boat that Julie Andrews had.
Oh, wow.
Right, right. So we bought and I found a lot of Mentos in different drawers and closets. and
nice.
things. Never did call her and tell her I've got that stuff, but you know, she can call me. Julie, you can call me.
You can call. I've got these things. I saved them for
I'll
you.
pick up the phone for you.
Yeah.
So here we are in Fort Lauderdale. I call up a couple of buddies and I go, hey, how's your passport? Great, come on down. We're going to go through the Panama Canal. We're going to go down through the Caribbean, through the Panama Canal, and we're going to end up in Hawaii. Wow, that sounds exciting. So my son, I think at that time was 11.
Okay.
So I brought him on board. I hired a captain, first mate, a crew. And we had 4 main salons or 4 suites, the main salon and cabin crew, et cetera. So here we are. We're now left the U.S. and we're down around which is called the Mosquito Coast of Roatan and Belize.
Okay.
Right? And we got a communication on the ship. And it was Lloyd's of London. You are no longer covered insurance-wise if you continue on south. So we never could figure out what's going on.
Oh.
The Panama Canal is closed. Does everybody know what happened to a gentleman by the name, I think it was Noriega?
Oh, yes.
So
Yeah.
the U.S. went down and closed Panama.
Wow.
So there was no way we could go down through to Panama. So what do? You make that old U-turn, go back through the Caribbean, back to Fort Lauderdale. About 6 months later, I sold the vessel. It was just getting way, way too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that plan didn't work out.
That plan did not work out.
Oh, that's the first one I've heard. You didn't share that with
Did I
me.
lose money? Yes.
Well, it's a first.
But it's experience of life.
It is exactly that.
It's experience
You
of
can
life.
say, I owned a yacht.
Right.
Briefly, but I owned a yacht.
Right.
All right. So then
So
we are.
now we're back in solid in Hawaii, right?
Yes.
And the saga continues. We start to open up factories now in China, Maggie's old stomping grounds.
Right.
Now, obviously, she speaks not just Cantonese, but she speaks Mandarin and some Shanghainese, etc. And in those days, Cantonese, when you're in the south, that's the language. You go to the north, Beijing, it's Mandarin, but this was Cantonese. So we were dealing with 2 products. One was high-end jewelry and Hawaiian engraving, if no one's familiar with that. So it's handmade engraved jewelry.
Okay.
And the other one were gift items. Those would be jewelry boxes with Swarovski crystals.
Yeah.
You know the old Hollywood pocketbooks, when you see them on the
Yes.
shows?
With all the glitz.
With all the glitz. So we were manufacturing that. So we had 2 factories, and we only added another 250 employees.
I don't even want to ask this about the fact, and I think I mentioned it earlier when I asked something about, because you've got 250 employees in Hawaii, you've got 250 now in China, and to find managers, overseers, whatever, that you can trust so that you can go back on your yacht or your motorcycle is very, very important. And you said that you've always had the ability, you're good, you discern, you read people.
I can diagnose a person literally, I think, in 3 minutes. I can tell you.
Wow.
Because how many people have I interviewed in the restaurants, the hotels, and businesses?
Yes.
You fixate on someone for a short period of time, and you get a feeling.
Yep.
And that's always
Yep.
been my ability.
And to trust that feeling.
Yeah.
That's the important thing.
Very few times have I ever been really wrong.
Yeah.
But we did take some of our major jewelers and engravers that were single gentlemen at that time, and we moved them over to China. And they lived in China, and they trained a lot of these people. Also, because Maggie was from China, obviously speaking the language, there were certain relatives and friends that we could be associated with to oversee a lot of this. But we were going back every other month.
But again, every time you talk about anything, I'm so absolutely overwhelmed by not only your expertise, but your willingness and the success you had with the willingness to either buy more, expand more, whatever, and not ever get so overwhelmed that it would collapse on you. And the fact that the both of you could keep that balance going with all the things you were doing and your fingers you were in everything, and still keep a family and a marriage together.
Well, let me tell you how it works.
Okay.
In the 52 years, Meg and I have never had an argument that I've won. That I've won.
That's perfect.
That's how that works. Right.
And I when we talk about your ranch thing, I want you to tell us what her words were when.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that to me was
I'll get to that.
priceless.
I'll get to that.
So
And now in between that, we are now, as I said, after the trade shows, we are going all over the world buying gemstones, which you're buying direct from the sources. You know, jade in it was Burma at that time, Thailand. We're buying in Israel. We bought diamonds and diamond cut stones in Antwerp and India for different stones and jewelry. Yeah. So we were traveling quite a bit.
Right.
Yeah. So that was very interesting. That was a break from our hard work. Now our daughter was getting to the point too where she could also oversee our business in Hawaii.
Well, good.
And then we brought in Maggie's brother who had an MBA. Yeah. So he worked for us, and friends that I had been grown up with, they came in. So we brought in a lot of relatives and friends to oversee.
That you trusted. That's the key word.
In the jewelry business, shrinkage is not a wonderful word.
No. No. Okay. And then what's next?
Okay. So I got a few dollars left in my pocket, right?
And they don't stay there long.
They don't stay there long. Well, so I start to design and build a new house on Diamond Head Road, right off of the ocean. And here's another Rolls Royce.
Oh, I didn't see the red one before.
Yeah, the red one. That's the construction site. Here's the house that we ended up with, and that's the interior, and there's the ocean right there.
Oh, my.
And that was another 7,000 square foot house that I designed and became award-winning.
Where's the kitchen?
The kitchen. Oh, I don't think I brought a picture of the kitchen.
That
it was
magazine.
It was an award-winning kitchen by Homes and Garden. It was the #1 kitchen design in the entire United States.
And you made the cover, and it was absolutely beautiful.
Now, how do you build a house and try and get the best deals you can? So I went to a trade show with my architect, and we came across something called, now this you got to remember is like the beginning of the 90s or middle of the 90s, something called a smart house.
Okay.
And a smart house, we all know what a smart house is today.
Well,
we're going back 30. Well, a smart house is you walk in and you have a panel, and you punch up the lights you went on, you punch up your irrigation system, how your windows close, what channel you went on your TV. This is this first computerized house.
Oh my God.
So we marketed to all the contractors that they could do their product like an elevator. We had a 4-stop elevator. All right, I'm thinking here.
Of course you are.
And I said, how can I get that elevator cheaper? So I talked to the elevator guy, and I said, this house will be featured, not just here in Hawaii, it'll be featured all over the country. Yeah. So they said, I'll give it to you for cost. So pretty much everybody, the people that did the kitchen, the people that did the pool, we had the first THX movie theater with a marquee outside, a popcorn machine, and you go down below ground, and it was a THX movie theater with a stage, etc. Now, one thing I haven't mentioned yet is Maggie is also a Chinese opera singer. And she reads, writes, and speaks. So we would have little performances in our own little theater with her friends that were also associated in the community of Cantonese opera.
You know, I said this to you the other day, and I will repeat it. I'm getting sick and tired of you not having anything that you cannot do. Everything that you bring up, it's like a whole new
Voila!
thing. Yeah.
Now that you mention.
All right.
Okay. So the smart house got built, 7,000 square feet. It still sits there today. It's 3809 Diamond Head Road. If you're in Hawaii and you go up and you see the overlook of Diamond Head, you'll see the house. It's got a teal blue roof. Beautiful. Okay. Now we'll talk about some things that didn't go quite right.
All righty then.
And
showing me your not quite failures.
Yeah. This is called Studio One Hawaii.
Oh, yes.
15,000 square feet of pure entertainment. Television show, Las Vegas show, tourist hangout for the tourists, the Japanese that came in, restaurant, prime rib dinners, etc. Name brand entertainment in there. It was the first of its kind in all of Hawaii. And that was one of the problems.
Oh.
It was the first of its kind. And this sits in Aloha Tower on one of the piers for the terminal ships that come in.
Okay.
And this was a converted ship terminal.
Okay.
And we were open for about a year, doing very good. And I got a letter from the city and county of Oahu. Have you ever heard of something called eminent domain?
Oh, yes.
I got a letter, eminent domain, your property.
Oh.
Because they had now expanded the length of the ships coming in. They weren't these smaller cruise ships. They were these monsters.
Monsters.
And for them to unload these ships and bring in 3,000, 4,000 people at a time, they needed the use of the old terminal. So that was a loser.
Yeah.
That was a loser. I went and I hired the best attorneys, and they all said the same thing. You're never going to beat the government.
Right.
There's no way. There's no way. So
You gave it up and
I-
said,
I-
onward, forward,
I
what's
gave
next?
it. I gave it up. I gave it up. So what do you do when you're at that point, right? Our jewelry stores were doing fantastic, and then at one point, Maggie and I just said, "We think enough's enough for a while."
Oh, sure.
Right?
you did.
So we sold the jewelry business. We sold all the businesses. Still kept the factories going. Right? We still are somewhat involved with the jewelry in Hawaii, but it's overseen by somebody else now. Let's go and move to California. Whoa, that's a great idea. Everybody moves to California. So off we go to California. Now, when you see and you ask people, where do you want to live in California? Name the plot. Where is it? Where is it? There's either Beverly Hills
Or Malibu.
or Malibu. And Beverly Hills is a little too snobby
Yes.
for me, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's go Malibu.
There you go.
So we go up PCH Highway, and we come across a property that's for sale. And it's 25 acres on Pacific Coast Highway.
And you didn't laugh like I'm laughing, did you? You said, how are we going to make this happen?
How are we going to make this happen? So we purchased the property, beautiful property, and the property actually consisted of several houses, older houses, right? And barns and arenas for the horses, and et cetera. And whose horses were there? All the movie stars in Malibu.
Ah,
They had their horses lodged there. We had a Mexican family that oversaw all of that work, so that was a God blessing. They lived on the property. They saw all of that work. But we got to meet some very famous people who would come up. Now, why would you put your horse there? Well, we're right on the ocean.
Ah.
And in the summertime, when you have horses a little farther east in the heat, you have things called flies. And flies around horse dung are like,
horrible.
forget it, you know, right?
yes.
But the wind coming off of the ocean,
Didn't have a problem.
Didn't have a problem. We always had that breeze. Always had that breeze.
Very popular place to
Right.
store your horses.
Right.
Stable them.
Stable of horses.
Yeah.
So we got into that business, but then I said, I looked at the property, worked on the property. I hired an architect, an expediter who would work for the city of Malibu, and I said, I want to build five acre estates with houses. So we drew up all these houses.
Yeah, yeah.
5 beautiful different estates. All there's the ocean.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Sunsets, incredible, right? And the mountains behind us, the Santa Monica Mountains. We had water. We had springs, wells. It was just a one-of-a-kind piece of property. So we start to develop the properties minimally with all the drawings, getting everything done to the city. And one day, the property was called the Palms of Malibu. And I had left the gate open. It's a long driveway up. I left the gate open, and a gull-wing Mercedes-Benz come up. And a gentleman by the name of Thomas Toffett and his partner Klaus, and I don't remember Klaus's name.
Yeah.
They said, wow, this is a beautiful piece of property. Wow, is it for sale? I said, no, it's not for sale. And they introduced themselves. Thomas had just sold the largest Mercedes-Benz dealership in California. And the other gentleman, Klaus, he just sold and I always get the name of the perfume company or the makeup company, Kiehl's or something, makeup, it's huge.
No,
Keihl, Kiehl's.
No, Clinique.
Maybe what?
Okay.
I can't remember. But he had just sold his makeup company 1/3. I think it was to Maybelline for $100 million. So they both were flush. So anyway, I said, no, why don't you come back in 3 years and I'll have all these houses. No, we want to buy it today. We love the horses. Our kids ride horses, et cetera.
Yeah.
And it was getting to the point of tax time, so I guess they had to have a write-off. So anyway, he says, let me write down a number on my business card. Mm-hmm. So he says, do you have a partner? I said, my wife's in the house. He said, you go in the house and show your wife this number. So I said, okay, I don't know how this is going to go, right? So I go in the house, and I give Maggie the card, and her famous words were, start the car.
Start the car.
Start the car.
Don't beat her on the bush.
Right.
Let's just go.
So anyway, I go back out, and I said, you got a deal. How much time do we have? 1 month. Oh, my God, 1 month? So
Call the movers.
Yeah, we loaded up, I can't remember, I think 2 40-foot containers. And we said, okay, well, where do we go now? Now, what would the typical answer be?
Well,
Costa Rica.
oh my stars. Because you wanted to revisit.
I had been going back and forth to Costa Rica, short trips, and Maggie had gone with me a couple of times, and we just absolutely loved it. Okay. There's nothing not to like about Costa Rica.
All right.
And we figured, well, this will be a great break for a while, right? So we bought this house right here, and I brought in 2 stretch limos, Lincoln Continental limos. I brought that in, and this was behind our house, this waterfalls. How could you not buy this property?
No, how could you not? Right. The sound of that when you go to sleep at night would be just absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah. So we bought this house, and we were there for a couple of years, and Maggie literally came to the point where she couldn't conduct any part of her jewelry business. The phones were terrible, cellular phones, everything was bad. The computers were, now this is the year 2000 or so, right? I know, 2002, something around that period of time. So we decided, well, we need to make another move because it's just not working out. Right. So we pretty much sold everything that we had, and I had a lot of toys. I had a motorized hang glider, a parasail, ATVs, Harleys, you name it. Yeah. We sold everything, and we moved back to the States, and we bought a house in Pasadena, Pasadena, California. We moved back to Pasadena.
Okay.
A very, very nice ranch house.
You know what I find interesting too is that when you move anywhere, you don't attach yourself to your things, your stuff. So therefore, like you said, you just have a clean slate. You get rid of everything. You don't have, stuff that you just can't part with this or can't part with that. When it's time, and you just let go of it. Yeah. That's to be admired because it doesn't happen very often. Yeah. So you're in Pasadena.
and I haven't even mentioned that even from our first house that we bought in Fort Lauderdale, because we were making some pretty good money, I was buying older houses and with a couple of guys where we were refurbishing houses. Nowadays you call them flipping.
Yeah. Right. I can't even imagine you as a house flipper, I'll tell you.
Yeah, well, I was pretty good.
I bet you were. There isn't anything you're not good at, but I just don't see that as your forte.
Visionary. People say, wow, you look at a piece of property and you know what to do with it. I mean,
Michelangelo did that with a piece of marble.
Well, yeah, he was a little before my time, but maybe.
Yeah.
But I'm nothing like that. But anyway, so here we are. We're in Costa Rica. We moved back to Pasadena. And from there, we're in this beautiful house in Pasadena. I think at that time, our daughter and some of her children lived with us at that point. Then we bought her a house very close to Pasadena, refurbished that. It was a nice house, but it needed a lot of work. So we worked on that house, plus our house, et cetera. And then I came with an opportunity to go to Santa Monica. So we started to look for property in Santa Monica because it would be closer for Maggie and the factory in downtown LA. Because she still has a factory that we use for her design work. So we bought a building right on Main Street. The front of it looked was Pico Boulevard, Main Street, and the back was Ocean Avenue. And there was the ocean. And we bought the building, we lived in the penthouse.
Oh, my.
And I bought it from a gentleman, and you might not catch the name right away. His name was Joe Gold. Ring a bell?
No, that's
How about
Gold Gym?
Gold Jim?
Oh, my stars.
Bought the building from Gold Jim,
Oh, my goodness.
who owned the original gym in Venice Beach, where he got his start, right? And on the second floor of this building, we were on the third floor of the penthouse, was a facility for a gym. And it turned out that that's where he trained Arnold Schwarzenegger, Lou Ferrigno, and a bunch of, because the paparazzis were so crazy when they went to work out at the Gold Gym.
Right, right.
He went on to open up also the World Gyms. World
All right,
Gym, He owned those. But he was incapacitated. He was in a wheelchair at the time. Joe Gold actually was a dancer for Mae West in the old.
Are you kidding me?
He was a dancer. There was these muscle guys. And Mae West said, oh, I need some backup dancers.
Yes.
So Joe and some of his buddies from Venice Beach, they would go to the Vegas, wherever they went, and they would do these shows. I've actually seen old footage of Mae West doing the performance and Joe Gold and these guys, muscle guys, you know.
Now, I'm getting a little perturbed.
Okay.
Because you should have been talking and getting a story from Joe Gold about the Mae West days. Then you could have told me, and we'd have both known about those. He has to have stories to tell.
He actually, he was in World War II. He did get wounded in World War II. But in reality, he was very good with metal. And that's what created the Nautilus. You ever heard of the Nautilus before?
Yes.
They actually, if you go to the original Gold's Gym down in Venice Beach, they have chained off a machine that he created.
Oh, for heaven's
And that he was one of the first ones that created the equipment. That's how he got
I
into the
also
business.
think that you're attracted to people that are multi-talented as well, that you keep running into people that they're this, but they're also this, this, and this.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurs are magnetized to each other. It's just ridiculous.
Very, very interesting people. Of course, now you're in Santa Monica, you meet all kinds of interesting people anyway.
Yeah.
So then I started to buy more property, and we ended up by buying one of the largest warehouses by LAX Airport, El Segundo. I bought it for $1 million, converted it, had a gentleman, as I'm converting it, walk in. It was disgusting. It was a terrible building. And he says, oh, I have no interest in buying this building. So 6 months later, after I completely remodeled this building, this warehouse and building.
What are you doing with that?
We created a second floor. We created loading docks. We redid the entire building over. It became not just commercial, but more commercial office.
Oh.
The same gentleman that laughed at me 6 months before, he ended up buying the building for 3 times more than I originally offered it for him. He had to,
See what a little of your touch can do.
Right, right, right. So anyway, they were in, and Maggie is still continuing on. She's strong. She's still very strong. Now we get to, we moved down to Rancho Santa Fe. I don't know if anybody knows Rancho Santa Fe.
Yes, I do. Down near San Diego.
Okay, now you talk about snobby. That's snobby.
Really?
Very snobby. Yeah, yeah. Your
Well,
neighbors don't even answer the doorbell down there sometimes. You know?
Oh, boy.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, here we are today. We still own this property. Do
Do you ever have anything small?
Yeah,
Unbelievable. They get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Well, I'll tell you,
now
we're here.
Right here now. See,
We're
you've
here.
learned
We're
the
here.
easy
We're
way
here.
is coming back to the village.
Right,
Okay.
right.
So this is your, how many, 11,000?
11,000 square foot house.
How
Yep.
many families?
Well, when we bought it in 2006,
Yeah.
our daughter and her family moved in to help Maggie with the business. And then she also had her mom, who was alive at that point. She passed on since then. So we had 8 bedrooms, 8 bathrooms, tennis courts, riding stuff for horses, etc. I've never got them to horses. A swimming pool, everything.
Yeah.
But for the 8 of us, it was very good.
Yeah.
You know, and the kids were young. It was safe. It was very, very nice.
Yeah.
Total gated community in Rancho Santa Fe. Yeah, we bought that. We added on a little. It was 9,000 originally. We added another 2,000 to it. Built the tennis court, etc. So we went to bring it up to date a little, we went to sell the house about 5 years ago, maybe, I can't remember. And people, our neighbors actually came along and they said, well, we just sold our house, we would like to rent your house. Well, how long do you need it? And they said, well, 6 months. I said, oh, 6 months. But they made us such a great offer, we couldn't refuse, all right?
She said, start the car.
Start the car. So, but it was furnished. It was
Oh
furnished.
my, you
We
didn't
s-
take
we-
it all with you in the
No,
first
no,
place?
no, 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 furnished. So we were doing cruises. I forgot to tell you.
Oh, that's right.
We've done over 40 cruises. We really like princess cruises. So we're on several princess cruises going out of Los Angeles or San Pedro, and you sit down to dinner with a shared table sometimes. And there's all these different people around, right? And I play woof. Woof is where you from? Woof.
Yes.
And I couldn't believe the number of people that would say, oh, well, we're from Laguna Woods Village. What the hell is Laguna Woods Village? You know what I mean? I knew familiar with the village in Florida, which is huge.
Yeah.
I said, oh, God, no interest in that, you know. And they said, oh, you got to come up on a Thursday and take a ride on the bus. And you watch
check it all out.
Yeah, you watch a small film. They still do that?
Yes, they
Okay.
do.
So Maggie and I came up. We listened to the little presentation, got on the bus, and we got off the bus and we said, oh, we got to move up here. I love the amenities. And she did too, you know.
Wow.
And it was close because she still has the factory
Yes.
in LA.
But it's
So for
closer
her-
than Rancho Santa Fe.
Exactly. So we rented for 6 months. People came back that were renting our house and they said, you know, we like it so much, we'd like to rent for another couple of years. Well, how do you turn down money like that?
Yeah.
So we said, well, we better do something. So we bought a house here in the village, totally gutted it.
Yeah.
And then Maggie loved this, totally new furnishings.
Did you redo the kitchen?
Everything. Get down to the.
I mean, did you
down
design it
to
all
the
like you did
studs.
in Hawaii?
Down to the studs.
Oh, I have.
We ended up by, in our model, there's a space between your one bedroom and the garage.
Yeah.
And we closed that totally in, and that's my man cave now.
Oh, for
Man
heaven's
cave.
sake.
Maggie has, one of the bedrooms is her office. And then in the back patio, we expanded that, we closed that in. And then I built a beautiful pergola atrium out in front.
Oh,
So,
nice.
Yeah. So we're over, I haven't measured it, but I think we're over 2,000 square feet now.
Oh, my. You probably hidden elbows with the neighbors.
No, it's a property that is connected on one side.
Uh-huh.
Right,
So you were
and
able
three
to.
on the other. Yeah.
Oh,
3 sides, nothing. One side, the garage is.
So now we have finally come to where you live now, into the village.
Right.
And the fact, first of all, are your light bulbs still going on all the time, or have you put those on silent? Every time you get an idea, it's like boing, boing. Are those?
I've tried to calm down a little, but I haven't stopped.
No.
I haven't stopped.
Well, there's probably no stopping it if it just.
Right.
But you moved here, so about what year did you move in here then?
We've been here 4 years now.
4 years?
Right.
And you're still not bored? You haven't moved? You haven't.
Oh, the saga continues.
Oh, no. All right, where are we
So
now?
we're in Rancho Santa Fe, and this is the year 2006. Along comes 2008, the horror of the banks.
Oh, yes.
And the
yes.
foreclosures and the bankruptcies. So we were very friendly with a few people in the finance business and the banking business. And we would receive every day emails of literally hundreds, if not thousands, of homes that had gone into foreclosure.
Oh, wow.
The banks, one thing the banks are in business for, they're in the business to loan money and
Yeah.
make it. They're not in the housing business.
Right.
The worst thing that a bank can have is houses. So we would get these lists, and I would go through the list, and I'd say, oh, well, this looks like a good deal. I'd get in the car, and I'd drive, and I'd look at these houses, and we bought them all cash. All cash. We'd buy as many as we could. And I had 3 different contractors working for me. We would go in and remodel these houses. Now, a lot of them were in fairly decent shape. A lot of them were in bad shape. I've never counted up, but we're someplace probably between 80 and 100 that we did in San Diego, LA. And then I went to Surprise, Arizona, and I bought 12 houses there because it was ridiculously priced.
Yeah.
Houses that sold for $350,000 were now in the banks for $80,000.
Wow.
As Maggie says, why did we sell all those? And now they're back up to $400,000. Right? So that's what we were doing that time. And then I said, well, I'm starting to miss Costa Rica. Costa Rica. Got to do something in Costa Rica. So it took me a long period of time, and I ended up going back to Costa Rica, and after many, many years of on the hunt, I found a property on the top of a mountain in a small town called Atenas, and I built a resort. up
You
in the
built
mountains.
one?
I built this. This is called Barron's Resort.
Oh.
Anybody out there? Google Barron's Resort, Costa Rica, and you can see the website, etc. So I started building this and I bought the property in 2012, built it out in 2 stages. Now it's 12 villas, mountaintop villas. We have what is called a rancho, a pavilion that's air conditioned. We have weddings there, parties, etc. We have 2 restaurants, 1 indoor, 1 outdoor. We have a cordon bleu chef that also doesn't just perform chef duties, but he also teaches cooking to the people.
wonderful.
So we actually have people who come to learn how to
To
stay
learn
at the
how to be
hotel, or stay at
chefs.
the resort, and be chefs.
What a wonderful thing. The other thing that I keep saying with all these add-ons and the this and the that is all the people that you're employing that are earning a living by doing that.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that's, again, another win-win.
Yeah.
And then now the school, the cordon bleu school, that they
Yep.
can learn to cook and become chefs and so on.
Yep.
I mean, it just never stops.
So we've been, COVID hit us pretty bad.
Oh, poor
Obviously.
baby, you probably were locked in for a while.
No, I'm talking about the resort business.
Oh,
we
of
were
course.
locked out. No one
Yeah.
could travel for what was it, 2 years?
Yeah.
You couldn't travel. Thank God the people, the nationals, the people from Costa Rica supported us.
Yes.
And they would come to the restaurant and they would stay, et cetera. So that kept us alive. But I mean, and I didn't fire anybody. We kept all the employees. It becomes family. After
Right,
so many years,
exactly.
they're families. And we've had a great relationship in Costa Rica. I belong to a couple of different associations down there. I support certain groups I won't get into. But it's been successful. Actually, I'm leaving in 4 days.
I was just going to ask you as to how often do you go down there?
I go down about at least every 3 months, anywhere from a week to a couple of
So you
weeks.
go down there to check the resort. Do you fly to Hawaii to check on
Yes, and
whatever's over
yeah,
there?
well, I did mention we bought another property in Honolulu.
No. What do
Yeah.
you do with that?
We stay there occasionally and rent it out. You never know that you have so many friends and family
Oh, I really.
until you've got a place.
Timeshare.
It's not timeshare. We own it.
no.
We should timeshare it out.
Yeah.
Boy, hey, Jerry, do you know if your condo is going to be occupied certain dates or whatever? Let me check for you. Yeah, we had a lot of friends, a lot of family. We were just back there 2 or 3 weeks ago, I think.
Yeah.
For a wedding. Yeah. So our son and his family still live there.
That lives there,
So
so
for
you
us,
can
it's
raise
enjoyable. And our daughter and her family, they go all the time.
Right.
So they love it. So we love Hawaii. We're right in the middle of Waikiki, right across from down the block from the Ala Moana Shopping Center and the Hilton Hawaiian Village. Everybody knows that.
Yeah. How often now, you still have the factory in China, so you...
We still have, but we haven't been going there now since COVID.
Right,
We're
right.
planning to go
Stay
this
away
possibly
from it.
November.
If everything
Very
goes
restricted.
well.
Very restricted.
So she
So we
still
still have
goes-
our we still have our family members.
And she
that
still
oversee.
goes to L.A.
Oh yeah.
to
Yeah,
design jewelry and make jewelry and stuff,
yeah.
and then sell it in Hawaii is usually where you sell it now?
She sells it all over the country to distributors, different retailers.
Oh, I see. So you have
Right,
distributors doing
yeah,
that
yeah,
too.
yeah.
Well,
If you ever have her, what she now handles is actually lab-grown moissanite diamonds. And moissanite diamonds are as hard as a real diamond at 1/10 to 1/100th of the price.
Oh.
So a lot of her business is from jewelry stores because of the robberies. They take out all their diamond merchandise.
Yes,
They
put
take
that
their
in.
diamonds and they remake or recast the items for their showcases,
Right.
and they put in the moissanite. You can't tell the difference.
Can't.
Moissanites are perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's where they, like you said, with robberies, it's a way to protect themselves.
Right.
What a
right,
neat
right.
idea.
Yeah, right. So she's been doing that now for quite a few years.
So you still go on your cruises, you still go down to Costa Rica, you still go to Hawaii, and I'm sure you've got already cruises planned for the next God knows
and
when.
actually June 11th we go to Alaska.
Was
14
this
of
at your
us.
first time there then?
Oh, fifth.
Fifth. Anyway, I worked with you a while trying to find a time when you were going to have your feet here in the village so that we could do the taping of this. And as I've met with you, there was so much that I knew that we'd have to have as much time as we
Sure.
needed for this. But I wanted to also, you love the village, you're here, you've done your house the way you want it. Do you have any time to get into activities here? What are you involved with?
I play badminton
Yeah, I knew that you did that.
20 some hours a week every morning.
Oh,
we
wow.
play,
What a way to stay in shape.
in Gym 1, they call it the mini gym.
Okay.
Play there. We play 3 nights a week. Very enjoyable, very, very nice group of people. I also belong to the Guys of Leisure, but I wanted to rename it the Gentlemen of Leisure. There's 60-some gentlemen from the village.
Wow.
And we all get together. We support different food banks.
Okay.
And we have lunch once a week, typically on Wednesday. Then we have a monthly meeting. We bring in speakers, etc. So that's very good. And I also belong to 3 different motorcycle groups. Can-Am Spiders of San Diego, which I still belong to, the One Riders that we have here in the village, and then I also belong to the Elks, and we have riders group from the Elks.
Question about the gentlemen's club, if you will. That there's 60 members. Where do you go for lunch usually?
Every week we go someplace different.
Okay.
Every week.
And with 60, I mean,
not all 60 show up.
No.
And we
but
average
still,
maybe half, 25 to 30.
But that's still a big group.
Oh, but it's all organized. We have committees that organize. We pick
But
out
how do you
restaurants.
sit and talk to people so that you get to hear their stories? Because they all got stories.
Oh, let me tell you, what a group. I mean, great doctors, engineers, architects. Their lives are as interesting, I think, as mine sometimes when you hear the experiences. We have 2 gentlemen that came from the Korean War.
You need to tell me about these gents.
Oh, I think you should definitely, we can introduce you.
Because that's the whole point of why I started this, is there's so many interesting people here.
Endless.
Yes.
Endless.
And you keep bumping into another one all the time, and that's why I tell people, if you meet somebody interesting, please get their phone number, and I can call them to say, would you ever be interested in sharing your... And sometimes I'm just amazed they think their life isn't that interesting, and I'm like, are you kidding me?
I have to tell you, one little quick anecdote. When I turned 75, which was 2 years ago, I called up one of my buddies that I've known for years. We're both the same age. And he's in New York and I'm here. And I called him up, I said, Paul, happy birthday. And we're talking, he says, Jerry, you sound really depressed. Paul, I'm very depressed. He goes, you, Jerry, you're depressed? What are you depressed about? I said, Paul, do you realize that half our life is gone?
And that perked him up.
That perked him up.
That perked him up. Yeah, well, we're all living on borrowed time, but to stay as active, and especially, you're working out by your badminton and so on, riding bikes, but mentally, I don't think your brain is shut down since you were born, because it's always got these ideas. And I'm fascinated by that creativity and the willingness to venture, the willingness to try something, and then to envision what it can become, the excitement that you get from it, the success that you get, and yet it's nothing that stops you, like, okay, now we've arrived.
Life's
it's just like onward and upward, forward now. Let's close that door and start another one. But I don't think I heard about buying all these houses during 2008, 2009, and I mean, and yet, again, I applaud that, because when you see a deal, you jump on it knowing this is a deal of a lifetime, and here's how we can
Well,
do
not
this.
getting into politics, but that might happen again.
Yeah,
With
we don't want to think about
depression.
those.
We don't want to talk about that.
No,
But
I'm really glad I'm old, because I don't have too much
what's the old
longer to have to deal with that.
Sorry for our kids and grandchildren.
Yes.
We lived the good years.
We did.
Other than Vietnam,
Yeah.
I mean, there were some really, really good years here.
And the saddest part is that nobody learns from the generation before, so they think it's going to be different for them, that they don't have to pay attention to what
Life's
went
not
on.
easy. You got to go out there and you got to work for it.
You got to work.
You got to take the chances.
But you have to, and the risk again, and I applaud again, I haven't met, I've only met her briefly, your wife, Maggie, but I would like to definitely meet her and talk to her, because she has that same entrepreneurship that you do, and also the fact that she's been willing to take these risks with you, all but the sailboat. All but the sailboat. That's your one stumble, it sounds like. Your one. Well, in Studio One, I applaud you for that also, because you were doing great things there. It was nothing that you had a bad idea. It was that the government decided to do something different.
The government rules. Can't fight it. Can't fight the government.
Well, you learned that.
We tried. Yep.
But anyway, I cannot thank you enough.
Well, this has
for all
been a great pleasure.
Well, I
right?
mean,
So now the next time we see each other out there in one of the stores, we can start to have a conversation.
we can talk
Out there, right.
with, and when I say, can I ask you a question, you'll know I'm not asking you out.
You know, my comment was, I said, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not allowed, my wife won't allow me to talk to beautiful women.
Oh, you
That's-
didn't say that.
I didn't say that.
No, you didn't. You said, I'm
Well,
sorry,
I normally
I'm
say that.
married.
Yes, the women in pool 5, I say that all the time.
That's it. That makes more sense.
Well, it's been a pleasure.
It has been
I hope,
absolutely a
I
hoot.
hope your fellow people who are watching the show enjoyed it.
Oh, I'm
were
sure they
entertained.
will.
Okay.
They love watching and hearing about the people they're probably living next door to and didn't know it.
That's right.
That they had that interesting a life. So, but I
Good.
will keep in touch with you when you're
Oh,
not
thank you.
floating around somewhere and going to Alaska to find out about your gentleman friends, because
Sure,
you
yeah,
have to
I can put you in
put
touch
them
with
in
that.
touch with me
Definitely.
and say she wants to talk to you and get your
Oh,
story.
yeah, you're very enjoyable.
Anyway,
Very enjoyable.
thank
Well,
you
very
so
nice
much
meeting
again,
you.
Jerry.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye-bye.